Hello everyone, welcome to the 42nd episode of Zing This. So in honor of that, we will be discussing something that is very important that revolves around 42.
Yes.
But we will get to that in a moment. You got me, Zinger.
And I'm Marvin Ellie.
I didn't know we were doing the names.
Why not? It's fun.
Zafod. I feel like Zinger's already a spacey enough name.
You're Beeble Brox Zinger.
Zingvod Babelbrox? Sure.
I know, there's too many fun names for the guys.
We will get to that if you have not already gathered what that is.
Yes.
We just want to point out that we will have stuff on the D23 Expo.
Yes, I am dying to talk about it.
Next week?
Yes.
Because we felt like it would be better for us to let the dust settle as we did with E3.
Yeah,
so it's something
just
we
in
can,
case there's some trickling stuff that comes out afterwards.
or maybe that Avengers trailer gets out more,
Yes.
possibly. And hopefully maybe there's some more stuff from Star Wars. Because they've shown a lot of different stuff there. And, I mean, it's all stuff that we would love to cover. But as I said, I think we're going to wait till next week to let all the dust settle. And we can get, gather our thoughts on the expo. But I guess let's move into our main discussion today.
Okay.
Cue the music. Alright, the movie we are going to be discussing. The movie that we are doing because there is no other choice but for a 42nd episode on the things that we cover of nerdy topics.
Duh.
Than to cover discussing The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes, I love all of this.
Few things real quick.
Yes. Movie.
I just want to say this. We are going to be discussing the movie. There might be some mentions here and there of the book or the radio play. Mm-hmm. And we understand that the book and the radio play, the radio play was the origin, the book came from that and everything. We understand that that's some great content. And we would love to cover that one day, but we decided to go with the movie for this discussion because it's kind of its own sort of compacted essence of stuff. Now, that's not to say I won't probably mention some things from the radio play or the books every now and then during this discussion, but I just wanted to get that out there. Trust me, I love the books too.
Yes.
But for this, we are doing the movie. So, why is 42 important, Ellie?
Well, it's the answer to everything.
The life, universe, everything.
Yeah.
It's 42.
Exactly.
Because I guess maybe next time you need to come up with a better question.
Oh.
So, for those who are not initiated into what we're discussing, I guess we should kind of explain first. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was originally a radio play that then was adapted into a book series that then had a movie come out in 2005. Mm-hmm. Author Douglas Adams wrote the book, did the screenplay, did a lot of stuff with this.
Right. And
the books are kind of sort of a satire.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're satire and poking fun at science fiction. And the thing is, these came out in the late 70s to 90s, like late 70s, early 90s. The books came out, and of course the movie came out in 2005. So I mean, it's just great that they were kind of ahead of their time, I guess, with poking fun at certain things. Another thing I want to mention is it's British humor. Mm-hmm. So I want to.
Everybody doesn't get that.
I want to say there's nothing wrong with not. British humor is something that I don't think anyone can just jump into sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's something you gotta kind of be.
Well, British humor a lot of times is dry.
It's very dry.
So, for me, if I see a new show that's going to be premiering on BBC, I get excited.
Yeah.
I just love most shows that are on BBC anyway, whether they're sci-fi or drama or whatever. I like how it's done, but it's not for everyone.
No. I mean, the movie also, the movie kind of was made for its own self. It was not. It was intended to be open-ended to where they could possibly continue, but the movie was supposed to be taking elements from the radio play, from the book, to make it into a kind of cohesive narrative. Some people do complain that they don't like it. There is stuff that's not really explained super well in
Right.
there that you kind of, if you read the books, you understand better.
Correct.
Something that I actually want to point out, and is something that I've heard a complaint before about this, is, do you know why they always say don't forget to bring a towel?
I mean, I know there's a gazillion uses for it.
Bingo. They don't really. If you watch Ford during the movie,
You
he
see
actually,
some
you see him
examples.
display, him hiding his face with it, him using it as cover, him
He uses
using it
that
as a weapon.
Yep.
Because a towel can be used for many, many things, and it's just one of those things where that was one of those moments where if you read the book, you knew what the towel was. They don't really
Right.
explain it in the movie unless you pay attention. It kind of explains it that way. But I guess I don't want to go over. I kind of feel we need to discuss the plot real quick.
Well, I mean, I can kind of. Let me try to do it because I know sometimes you get a little long-winded.
Like I said, I'm jumping around. I want to focus in on this so we can
Right.
get. So I think we need to go over the plot. Like I said, we've said it's a satire British sci-fi thing. So go ahead, Allie.
So you have Arthur Dent, which is this like humdrum. He's
Average
kinda,
British person.
Yeah, just average guy. He's fighting for his house because they're trying to demolition it because they're doing
build
like it's like a cut through or
it's a bypass. It is an
bypass,
interstate
that's what it is.
bypass.
Yes.
Which
So
is important.
He's trying to
Put a pin in that.
he's trying to lay down and protest and and then all of a sudden so you get the gist that this guy just leads just a normal boring life. And this you find out that he pushed this friend out of this random stranger. I'm sorry.
Well, I got something on that actually.
Okay.
But I'll save that for there's actually a fun little Easter egg in the movie about the vehicle he almost gets hit by.
Right. So but basically you see this guy and you can tell they've known each other before, and he's like, "Hey, we need to go to the pub. I want to, we need to talk about something, the end of the world." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" So it's kind of like you're like right away. It's very, what's going on? He has this this guy that you obviously get the impression they've met each other before, they've seen each other before.
And he's an odd individual. He
I
might
love
not
him.
be from here.
Yes.
And by here I mean England, but I actually mean from a star just outside of Beetlejuice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he's like, we got to go to the pub. I got something to tell you. It's the end of the world. Blah blah blah. And he's like, what are you talking? What?
What's his friend's name though?
His friend's name is Ford Prefect. And so, long story short, it's funny. He has this big shopping cart of beer.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll give it to the construction workers so they'll stop, working on your house. We have until they finish the beer. And it's just a funny scene. It's cute and quirky. But they go to the bar. And like I said, we're not going we'll go back into more detail of scenes, but we're just doing the quick run through.
So they're at the bar, right?
Yeah. So he's buying a round of beer
For everybody.
and he's
Ford is.
He's yes. And he's basically, this one lady. I always zoom into her. There's this lady that's just staring at the two of them.
Yeah.
And it's just super interested in their conversation. And so I thought it was funny where the bartender was like, should we put a paper bag overhead? Should we lay down?
He explains to the patrons
Right.
of the bar that the world's gonna end.
And they show this scene of everybody in the bar is laying down on the ground with paper bags over their head, and I don't know why I think that's so funny.
That to me is very British humor. Of
Yes.
there's the joke of, well, what should we do to save ourselves?
Right.
And the response is something that's not going to really do anything.
Will it hurt less?
Yeah, it's a pointless thing. But he goes, yeah, sure, that would work. And then what happens when you see him a few minutes later? They're doing exactly what he told them to do, because they're just like, whatever.
And they basically get back out of the house. He sees the construction workers apparently chug down that beer really fast because they're already bulldozing the house. But by the time they even get out, and the iconic scene where he lifts his finger up, his thumb up.
No. Something shows up. You missed the part where something shows up.
What are you talking about? The big ship?
Ships.
Yes. Sorry.
Ships.
Yes, ships. And there's worldwide panic.
Yeah.
And they're showing all the different stuff, but when they kind of the one over them is zooming down in front of them, and it's very large and impending. He does the hitchhiker thumb with his ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, if you've never read the book before, you are at this point seriously confused about what's going on.
The other thing I really liked was the people or the things that are over the planet are called the Vogons, which we'll get into them in a second, but they're demolishing the Earth because it's in the way of a hyperspace bypass.
Right.
Which it's kind of a funny mirroring of Arthur's situation versus the entire Earth situation, and they also point out that if the Vogons point out, if you had something against us doing this, we had we've had the plans for this up in some galaxy or some, star cluster like thousands of light years away, so you guys could have said something if you didn't want us to do this, which it's once again just this dry kind of making fun of sci-fi in that thing that, Earth didn't have the ability to go there, so
right.
We paid for it in the end. But so he's going to hitchhike, and
so we're just this next part. Like I said, we'll go into more detail. But basically, the plot of the story is this guy feels like he owes him payback because Arthur saved his life.
Ford owes Arthur a life debt because he saved him from being run over by a car when he first met him.
Right. So do you want to say what you were going to say about the...
Here's the funny thing. What was Ford's name again? Full name?
I just know Ford Prefect. I can't remember his full name.
That is his full Earth name.
Right.
Here's the fun fact about that. The car that actually almost hits him and that he's trying to introduce himself to is a Ford Prefect.
Oh, okay. Right.
So that's kind of, I think, in the movie, I think awesome. That's a nice little joke there.
Right.
But you find out that they're on this ship, and you kind of find out that Ford is a author for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is this like stupendous novel that's basically how to basically interact with the galaxy as a whole. And it's really I love the way the movie presents the little, because I guess it's assuming that you're in that particular scene, Arthur looking at the book and seeing, the animations going through of...
Well, it's more comparable to a Pokedex because...
Yes, it's very comparable to a Pokedex.
Because he basically says, when he was like, what's a such and such? And then he's like, well, ask the book.
Ask the book.
So that's the impression that I get is it has, it's kind of like a Pokedex, a sci-fi Pokedex for Arthur to be able to learn on the fly.
Or for anyone who's traveling through the galaxy to learn. And what's a very important thing in this book is on the back of it is printed in large print.
Don't panic.
Yes. And, of course, Ford did make sure that Arthur brought his towel.
Yes. Well, because you can't go anywhere without a towel.
Don't forget to bring your towel.
Clearly. And basically, the rest of the story is their adventures of, going through the galaxy, and they end up meeting some other crazy people. And we'll go into the details of the characters and what they do and everything. But that's the short version of the story is basically these two people come together. They hitchhike onto this ship to, save his life because Earth is getting ready to get pa-boom. And it's their adventures thereafter. Mm-hmm. So...
I mean, like I said, I really enjoy this movie. I'm trying to remember the first time I watched it, to be honest. Because I feel like it was something to where I was really into a lot of British... I was, like, watching Spaced and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Around the time I was introduced to it. So it kind of went perfectly with what I was, watching. So I was on board for a lot of the British dry humor and everything. And like I said, I really enjoy the fact that... there's the joke, and like I said, some of this stuff works better for a book, but I'm just gonna try to compare it as with the movie,
right? Because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, the joke of he's worried about his house getting bulldozed to make way for a bypass, and the entire planet gets bulldozed to make way for a bypass.
Well, and that's the great thing about this movie is it's got so many little things that you'll miss.
Yeah,
if you're really not paying attention,
like the Ford prefect.
Right, exactly.
Is the vehicle, like, I never knew that. That's actually something I looked up under fun facts.
Yeah, and the fact that this is definitely a movie you can watch a second time or even a third time and find new things that you didn't see before.
Or get jokes that you might not have gotten before.
But I think we need to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Let's discuss dolphins.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Yes.
By the way, I'm just going to mention this now real quick. The names of all the books: Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe,
Which they reference in the movie.
they actually let me get through all of them, and I'll tell you the interesting fact. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, Life, the Universe, and Everything, So Long, and Thanks for All the Fish, and Mostly Harmless. All 5 of those are technically mentioned in the movie.
Yes.
Except for one is mentioned in a deleted scene. And it is describing humans as mostly harmless, and Arthur gets a little offended when he asks the book about humans, and it says mostly harmless. Which, by comparison to what humans are able to do, that's actually kind of interesting that we are labeled as mostly harmless. But yeah, the all of these are mentioned somewhere in the movie. The So Long and Thanks for All the Fish is the opening number by the dolphins, who are the second most intelligent beings on the planet. We are the third. During its destruction, we are the third most intelligent, which we'll get to who the first one is, but they all left. The dolphins were able to leave Earth before its destruction.
And they were trying to warn us humans about it, but we didn't get it. We just thought they were cute and hitting balls and doing flips and all that stuff.
And their final message to us was...
Thanks. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Exactly. But I just thought that was... I mean, obviously, if you've read the books, you would have... You get that, but... It was so neat. I kind of wish I would have been one of those people that saw the movie first and been like, what are you talking about? This is so random. But that's kind of...
What makes this movie so unique and the humor of this series so iconic is it's just dry take and just very...
And where do I get one of those rings?
Oh, the hitchhiker rings?
Yeah, seriously. Like... It's pretty awesome and nice to have, even though I don't quite understand how it works.
I'd rather have the guide.
The guide?
Personally. I'd rather have the Hitchhiker's Guide. Or what about a Babelfish? Would you rather have the Babelfish?
Well, yes, they all go together, but if you don't have the ring, then you would have been dead because you wouldn't have been able to leave the planet. So you kind of need the ring first. And then you can collect the other stuff as they go along.
Interesting.
But the Babelfish, I can't imagine. Extremely helpful, but I can't imagine having something crammed in my ear.
For those of you who, we are sorry if you have seen or read the books. We are going to try to explain at times certain things. The Babelfish is a organism that
it's a small little yellow fish
that goes into your ear, and what it does, and once again, this is, in my opinion,
you can't take this too seriously.
sci-fi kind of parodying. This is how he's able to speak to everyone in space and understand it, because the fish takes in any incoming sort of...
it feeds on brainwave energy.
Yeah, it feeds on brainwave energy, and its output is it translates whatever it's hearing.
But it actually, it poops. It's excrement. It poops out the translations.
As sound.
Yeah.
As sound, not literal poop.
I just think the description and the explanation of this is just too funny. That it eats the brainwaves and then it poops the... Oh,
and once again, this is something that is explained through the guide telling you it, which, like I said, has great little animations for everything.
And can I say, I would watch a movie of just that?
I kind of wish they had more of the guide in there. Because I enjoyed the little, breakaway stuff. Even though I love the movie, I'm like, if there's one thing, I would have liked more of the guide.
The animations, just the pictures and the descriptions, I love those parts, and I agree with you. They definitely could have put more of that in, and I would not have been upset about that.
Well, the other thing is, it once again is pointing out that, the whole universe is sort of, I guess, a joke to an extent. It's kind of like, you can take stuff super seriously, but in the end, it kind of doesn't matter.
Well,
like
it's the ongoing don't panic. Just
Yeah.
calm down. Like,
Yeah.
just what will be, will be.
But let's
Yes.
talk about the Vogons, because I actually
They're
enjoy.
interesting, yeah.
I enjoyed. There's something about this that I really enjoyed is that they used a lot of puppets. They
Mm-hmm.
did use a lot of computer generated stuff when they needed
Yeah.
to, but they also used puppets, which I feel made this movie age. I mean, it's 12 years old now,
Right.
and I feel it made it age a little more gracefully. But the Vogons are basically the extreme bureaucrats.
Yes.
They don't do anything unless it's sign and trip. I'm not going to do this the thing that the guide does because I don't have
Right.
it memorized. But there's a really funny thing where it explains that they wouldn't even save their grandmother unless forms were signed in triplicate, this, that, and the other, quarried, lost, found,
And I thought it was interesting.
buried in soft peat.
Yes. And I thought it was interesting that they mentioned that they're not evil.
No, they're just bureaucrats.
I just thought it was funny the way they had to make a point that, let's be clear, they're not evil. We're not saying that. They're just really serious about their jobs and,
Yeah.
and what they're doing. So, yes.
But they
I do.
also can't do poetry, and that is the biggest warning of the book, is to not let them read poetry
Yes.
because they have no imagination.
Oh, my gosh.
Which, that is a joke that pays off later on, is the fact they have no imagination once they get to their planet. You find out kind of a vague reason why.
Ford's face kills me.
Oh, when the poetry's being read,
yes.
he's like...
Oh, my gosh. I wanted to just hand clap to him because that was just... It was classic. You could definitely tell that he was in pain. I like that part.
But no, I mean, they don't like hitchhikers. They
Right.
pick them up. They kind of, do this whole thing where they make them listen to poetry. Mm-hmm. And Arthur kind of makes the point of, I liked it. It had a great vulgarity to it. Mm-hmm. Play on words there. And it was pointed out that it is the third worst in the universe.
Yes.
It's one of those things where there's a lot of jokes every now and then that they're just kind of weird. Like,
if it's that bad, and that's only the third worst.
well, it explains that the first two, like when the person recited it, like one of the people only survived because they they tore off one of their legs to get away, and one of them was on Earth, and they actually, I wish I'd written down the name. It actually names drops a particular person who I don't know if is real or is made up, but it's pointed out that it doesn't exist anymore because the Earth was destroyed. So I just thought that was a funny joke that just name dropped a random person.
Right.
So if we have any aspiring authors out there, if you want to name drop Zinger or Ellie in one of your upcoming things, we'd appreciate it. Just
That
randomly.
would be awesome.
Especially if it's that we wrote the worst poetry ever.
Right. Yes.
But they get kicked off that ship, and it's pointed out that they can survive in space, and the improbability of them surviving that long and being picked up by another ship.
Right.
But why is it important about the improbability of it?
I don't know.
Well, because if you're using an improbability drive, because they get picked up by the starship Heart of Gold. And it actually, they do a good job with exposition on this because they explain that it travels using, you can travel using hyperspace, but there's also an improbability drive, which I'll explain that in a second. But they kind of explain that it basically saved them because it was an improbable thing for them to be saved at the exact same time the ship was coming there.
Right.
So, and this is when we get introduced to Trillian and Zaphod Beetlebrox.
That's actually incorrect. We see Trillian in them earlier.
Well, correct, we do.
Well, I'm just saying, so it's not the first time.
Okay. We didn't explain that part, though, in our explanation. So, in all
I understand.
fairness,
We don't want to say the first time, though, because that's not true. But he obviously, they kind of show, just as a quick thing, there's this underlining theme of love.
yeah.
Of course, seems like you always have to have that in movies, but...
Which the Hitchhiker's Guide advises against.
Yes, and we'll discuss that. That's a theme I wanted to talk about. But, he's, he finds this girl that...
Okay, we're flashing back real
Yes.
quick to Arthur went to a party the
Yes.
night before.
Like a Halloween party.
Yes.
And it was really... Their interactions was really cool. They both kind of got each other instantly.
They got each other's costumes and everything.
Yes, exactly. And you kind of get the sense that she wants adventure.
Yes.
She doesn't... she wants
Trillian.
more. Yes, Trillian. She wants more out of life. She wants to explore. She feels like, there's got to be something else out there. And he's obviously more reserved, and she basically asks him to just, let's go somewhere, you know.
And he's like, eh.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we first meet
Zaphod
sorry.
Beetlebrox.
And he basically, now obviously everybody thinks it's a joke, but he basically is like, you want to come see my spaceship?
I'm from a whole nother world.
And it's awesome. And of course, to somebody like her, that's intriguing to her. And so that's why we'll skip back up to present.
Yes.
And this is the second time that he is meeting both of them, but you can clearly imagine how,
But this is the first time, though, they're meeting Marvin.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's take a
I
quick
love
minute.
Marvin.
We kind of normally discuss these movies as the movies and not as the actors and stuff that are in them.
The actors are just so
But I want to
phenomenal.
take a minute to point out who is playing each part, because there's an interesting little twist with one of them. Martin Freeman, of course, plays Arthur, who, if you're not familiar with him, he was in the Hobbit trilogy as young Bilbo Baggins.
Second breakfast.
Second, yeah.
Sorry. I love their eating styles. When you're hungry, just eat a second breakfast.
I'm trying to remember all the names, like Levensies.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever we finally cover Lord of the Rings. He also is in Sherlock as Watson.
Yep.
And he is, sorry, I forgot one. He is also in the Marvel movies. He was in Captain America Civil War, and he will be in Black Panther. He's the one agent that is very interested in Wakanda. I cannot remember his exact title off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
But he's in that, so there's that. You, of course, got Mos Def as
Ford
Perfect, and I think
Prefect.
he did... Prefect, sorry. Ford Prefect.
I love his character. It's fantastic.
You got Sam Rockwell as,
Yes.
and this is something we haven't revealed yet, so if you haven't seen the movie, here's a surprise, President of the Galaxy.
I was like, President of the Galaxy.
Zaphod Beetlebrox.
Yes, love it.
And Zoe Deschanel
I love
as
her.
Trillian. And this
Yes.
is something that I don't know why it didn't click that she was in this movie for me when I was watching New Girl.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, it did.
She's
For some
such-
reason, it did not click that she was in this movie until
I
I
love
watched
her.
it again recently.
She is like a girl crush of mine. I adore her.
It's the eyes.
Oh, her eyes are gorgeous, but it's just her personality. She's so inviting. She's just fun.
And I know some people aren't a big fan of her personality
I love
sometimes,
her.
but I will say it's very reeled in this performance because
It is.
She
it's
is young.
not as well. And I don't know of our listeners who've seen it, but Sci-Fi did a Wizard of Oz, Tin Man.
Oh,
And she was Dorothy in that. And it was
interesting.
great series as well. I'd love to talk about it one day, but I don't know if Zinger would be on board. But Tin Man is something else she was in. Yep.
Just two real. Well, we got three more left. I'm going to mention on here. The late and great Alan Rickman.
Yes, great.
Does the voice of Marvin, who is
Yes.
the android who basically has the
Wah,
brain the size of
wah.
a star, but
He's so...
it's funny because his stick is he like has almost infinite intelligence, and because of that he's miserable because he has infinite intelligence and
Yes,
everything.
He's great.
So that's great. But the person actually acting, the person in the suit, is Warwick Davis. And a quick little fun fact: they were both professors at Hogwarts in the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Flitwick and Snape.
Yeah.
Respectively. But the final person, the voice of the guide and kind of the narrator, Stephen Fry. Who, if you've played Little Big Planet, he also narrates that too.
Yes.
And we do have one more. Bill Nighy is in it, but we'll get to his character. And
Very interesting.
there's of course a ton of other people, but I just wanted to mention he's in it too. It's a very British cast for obvious reasons.
Yes.
But no, I mean, you get to meet this android who is just manic depressant, and it's hilarious because he's just he goes to get them and he's just miserable doing it. And the great thing is, the spaceship that they're in is like the most high-tech spaceship like in the galaxy right now. And all the doors, and this is something that is found really funny, have positive personalities. So when they open, they're like,
Very welcoming.
And it's just Marvin makes a comment about like you can program doors to be happy. Why can't I get that? Like it's so great. They all kind of join up together and they decide that they're going to go after the ultimate question.
Right.
And Zaphod became president of the galaxy, and he won it because why did he win it, Ellie?
Well, he wanted to find out what the answer was.
No, why'd everyone vote for him?
Oh.
Because they thought it was the worst dress contest.
Which he definitely was.
And he lost to Hamakabula, but no, it's just he won because he wanted to find the answer to the ultimate question. And that's where you find out that these trans-dimensional beings made a computer called Deep Thought that was supposed to calculate the ultimate question.
Right.
And when they asked it the answer to the ultimate question, sorry. And when they asked it, what's the meaning of life, the universe, everything? What did it tell them?
Well, it told them 42.
And everyone got upset. They're like, why 42? And then Deep Thought kind of goes, well, you need to get a better question.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I once again love the humor of that.
No, it's great.
But
I love that part.
But the ship that they travel on, I just want to explain the improbability thing real quick before we get too far away from when I hinted at it. So the improbability drive is you can fly in hyperspace, but there's a ton of mucking about, as it says.
Right.
What the improbability drive does is it allows the ship to travel through basically any type of universe or galaxy or reality possible. So a lot of times when it appears as something else for a minute until it gets back to normality. Like it appears as a giant ball of string, a flower at one point.
And I've never enjoyed somebody puking more than I did.
Yes.
It was so funny.
I just wanted to explain that because that kind of plays into the movie, the whole improbability thing. But like I said, this whole movie is just filled with sci-fi rigmarole that's just funny on itself.
And we're not going to go into details of their adventures because
because we're going to stop here because now you know the whole point of what they're after now.
And we'd rather you watch it, and if you haven't, we'd rather you watch it and enjoy like all the craziness. But I do have to...
Okay, well, wait. We've taken them up to the 42nd minute of the movie.
Yeah.
Because I actually looked this up, and the point where Deep Thought is explaining what the 42 thing is actually 42 minutes into the movie.
Right.
So I never knew that. I actually found that out and and fast forwarded to that point. And I was like, wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, it does.
So do you think they wrote the entire movie around having to have it at there, or you think that was just a happy accident?
No. It
sounds improbable.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, in the movie is, a lot of people rounded up, but the movie was supposed to be an hour and 42 minutes. Yes. And they have a lot of mentions of 42, like the newspaper in the beginning of the movie that had the dolphin article. Mm-hmm. There's a 42 under it. They also had Zaphod's cereal box. You know how you see several times he has his box of cereal?
Yeah.
And they basically, when he flips the box over in one of the scenes, you can see it says the perfect breakfast cereal 4-2. So it's very smart and cute.
As in 4-2, as in two people, but it's 40.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry,
I know.
Sorry, everyone who's listening. I put that together. I put it together myself.
You could hear the brain working. It was pretty amazing. But so this movie is it's chock full of just fun. Like I said, I think a lot of people that watch it just don't get it.
You can't take it too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
It's supposed to be taken as this abstract kind of laugh-a-palooza of science fiction as sort of it's basically Futurama, but even I don't know. It's British Futurama. Can I say British Futurama? And that's okay.
I mean, you can say whatever you want.
Audience, can I say British Futurama?
I was like, I'm not stopping you.
But it's like I said, this is one of my, like, I love this movie and everything. I've read the books, and
So what would be the word that you would, if you had one word to describe this movie, what would your word be?
improbable.
Mine would be absurd.
I was referencing the improbable.
I know what you're doing. It's just, this whole movie is just absurd. It's just crazy. Like, it's silly, but it's fun. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's for the fans of sci-fi.
Yes.
Resistance is useless is something said by the Vogons, which is fun. And like I said, the bureaucraticness of them is just... It's so amusing to me because there's points where, like, they actually have... Like, the Vogons, not to get too deep to the plot again, but the Vogons are chasing Zaphod because he's supposedly been kidnapped.
Right.
But he technically kidnapped himself. So they're after him. So I don't know, it's really it's one of those, it's a joke on itself that they're after him, but they almost capture him at one point. Like, he is on the planet, he is like in arm's reach, and they can't capture him because they don't have the proper forms filled out.
Right.
And it's just one of those things, I'm like, it's funny because it's just bureaucrat. And it's, the other thing that's great is you have somebody who's not a Vogan around them going, he's right there.
Right, the chick that's, like, in love with him.
The vice president.
Yes. And I kind of wanted to take a minute to mention all the just great phrases. Like when Trillian says buttons aren't toys. Like, it's just, like, a lot of the little things that they say are fantastic. I know that Zaphod, 2 heads are better than 1, double your pleasure.
Because he actually has 2 heads in the movie.
And they explain.
And I kind of like the way they do it because I think in the books it's implied that they're heads beside each other. Mm-hmm. It's not stacked on top.
Exactly.
It's something to where I don't want to explain it here because I'm going to do a
Right.
terrible job. But if you watch the movie, it makes sense. He has 2 heads because...
He kind of has one underneath that he pops his other head back.
And it explains why he has 2 heads.
Right.
He's not an alien in the sense of that, but it explains it, and it's once again a really dry joke at why he has to have 2 heads.
And Ford, one of my favorite lines from Ford is, "Workers of Earth, I bring good tidings of peanuts." I'm just saying, like, this movie is just full of, like, amazing lines that are just so much fun.
Well, I got a great one for you. And I kind of have to set up the scene real quick. It's when they find the point of view gun.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it gets aimed at Trillian. And the point of view gun, to explain real quick, is it was developed by Deep Thought because of a group of women wanted to have a thing to where because they were tired of ending every argument was, well, if you could just see things from my point of view.
Right.
So they actually have a gun that it shoots, and you get to the point of view of the person who shot it. Mm-hmm. And they get the gun, they're having fun, messing with Zaphod with it, but he gets it and aims at Trillian, going, all right, well, I'm gonna give you a taste of, how I'm feeling. And she goes, it's not gonna work on me.
I'm already a woman.
I'm already a woman.
Yes. And the gun gets aimed at, in the end of the movie.
Gets aimed at a ton of Vogons by
gosh.
Marvin.
It is great. They just basically just all fall over.
And are miserable.
It's just, and the scene when they're, like, pulling away, they've got a bunch of them, like, smushed into these kind of
containers.
Like a cop, the old style, like, cop car, the truck.
Paddy wagon.
Yes. And it's just, it's so much about this movie that is just, it's just so funny. I love the humor. But I think we should make sure to mention for a few minutes just love in this movie. The guide basically says it's too complicated to define. Avoid at all costs. Yes, exactly. So,
but you know who never read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Arthur.
Right.
Never read it.
Yes. And he clearly, has this coming of, oh my gosh, she's the one, like, as they progress through the movie.
Well, also they're an endangered species at that point, too, so.
But I think he really, it was kind of the one that got away, even from the first time he met her. So, and that was before they were endangered. So, obviously, it might have helped it along a little bit. But I think that's great. And, the mice, and it just, there's so much in this movie.
I want to talk about Slarty Botfarst real
Okay.
quick, because one, I wanted to say that name on a recording, because it's
Yes.
funny. And he's actually kind of one of the, he's on Magrathea, and he helps Arthur at that point get the second Earth 2.0 going.
Right.
And he has a great, his introduction, this is the one that is played by Bill Nighy. Mm-hmm. And his introduction is great, in my opinion, because there's the point where they're sitting there, and he goes, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Arthur." You mean? And he's trying to make he doesn't even make the. I'm not going to try to do the joke, because he messes up the joke of he's trying to tell him that he's going to be the late Arthur Dent, as in like the deceased Arthur Dent. Like it's this whole like 30 seconds worth of him fumbling over his words to try to intimidate Arthur and just failing at it, which is something I found amusing.
Right.
Because he's trying to be this imposing person, and he's not. So that was something I really enjoyed.
Well, can you imagine, put yourself in Arthur's shoes. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a man that is, like we've mentioned before, leads a pretty boring life, right? Can you imagine the experience that he had of basically being drove around in this, I don't know what you would want to call it, but, going across the whole world like that, seeing it as it's created,
he's
like a zip line type of thing.
Slarty Botfarst is giving him a tour of the Earth 2.0.
Can you imagine though seeing that? That
Yeah.
would be crazy to experience something like that. I just think that part of it is just, it is so neat the way, like, just imagining if you were in his shoes, how fantastic that would be. How that, that's just kind of, obviously, I think that changed some of his
I
opinion.
know that
on
this
things.
whole thing at the end is just kind of us just saying our favorite moments now, but
Yeah.
I don't mind. I got one more before I say I think my final. Well, we get to our final thoughts.
Yeah.
The part where they are going in to try to save Trillian, and they have to go through like the DMV-esque line and everything. Oh no, wait! It's before that. It's
Yes.
before that. And Marvin's standing there, and Arthur looks over at him and says, "Hey, Marvin, can you give me a hand?" And then they bust into the place with him holding Marvin's hand like a gun.
Right.
And I'm like, that once again, stupid play on words, to where he legitimately was like, "No, I need a hand. Like, physically give me your hand."
No, that's fantastic. If I have to think of one question that I was dying to know the answer that I don't get answered, is when Ford is talking to the all you can see
is her legs,
Yes.
like the like
that you see, like
ankles
the
and down,
heels
ankle and
yeah.
down.
And he makes this comment about that she was a little bit bigger
Yeah,
than the last
time you saw her.
Seriously, I want to know what the rest of it looked like.
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued. I just it's little things like that too. Like I said, it's just so funny. You're just like, how much bigger did she get? Because
Yeah.
she looks pretty big.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, was it, to us when we see a big, was she like his size and just something crazy happened? Like that would be my I would like that answered.
All right, so quick spoiler warning. I'm going to talk about the plot and the kind of, because I think the whole joke, there's also a whole running joke in the entire thing that pays off at the end that I kind of want to talk about real quick. So, to sum it up real quick, Earth was a giant computer basically to give the ultimate question, since the ultimate question was not the life, universe, everything. The answer that. They're like, that's a terrible question. You need to process what the ultimate question is. The whole joke is that the Earth was the computer to create that, and humans were sort of the byproduct of it to come up with it. Mm-hmm. And you don't ever get it. Like he mentions, the how many roads do you have to walk down, stuff like that. And they're still stuck on the whole 42 thing at that point. But
right.
I saw that the whole joke of the movie kind of ends with Nothing being resolved from the whole adventure of trying to find out, the answer to any of that stuff. It's
Right.
just sort of like, oh, life's going to go on, whatever. I don't know. I enjoyed that as
Right.
like it has nothing. Basically, those characters develop, but the universe as a whole gained nothing from the experience when it should have gained the ultimate question.
Yeah. It was just more about. You feel like that's what it's about, but the main thing is it definitely does set it up for another movie if they ever did want to come back to that. But it's more about maybe the ultimate answer is just to live your life, like enjoy yourself,
and that's what it kind of implies.
Yes,
too.
Exactly. So I love the way the ending was, and it, even the very end where they're like, oh, we're gonna go to the restaurant at the end of the galaxy,
It's
and they
actually
go the
on
wrong
the
way.
other end.
Yes, it's just stuff like that. It's so cute. I love it.
So I guess final thoughts, real quick. I mean, we kind of already have said our final thoughts, but I have one thing left.
Okay.
If you don't have anything,
I don't really. My just main opinion is, I absolutely love it. I know it's not for everybody.
It isn't.
Some people it's not their thing, and that's totally cool. But I think if you are someone that does like dry British type humor, whether you've read the books or not, they're a great companion to the movie, of course. You'll get a lot more of the stuff. But I think just overall, it's just a great, fun, quirky little sci-fi film.
I agree with everything you said, and that's definitely ditto for me. I just wanted to say that I feel it's the it's the British Galaxy Quest, if that makes any sense. It's sort of in the same vein as that, but it's just Britishified, and it's based around the characters in the book. It is pointed out that the movie, and I think I've said this earlier, but I'm just going to repeat it. The movie it's supposed to be its own creation. And it's its own thing that takes elements from the books.
Right.
But I guess you said the question you wish you could have got answered. I guess I should say mine real quick then.
Okay.
Why did the bowl of petunias say, "Oh, not again"?
That was so poor whale.
Poor whale.
That was awful.
It's round. It's big. It's ground. What if it would be my friend? Hello, ground.
I was dying. That was so sad. Like, that was really ridiculous. But yes, seriously, how many times has this poor bowl of flowers had this happen to them? And are you implying that, not you necessarily, but is the movie implying that it is conscious of every time it has been
randomly appears in the middle of
does it know
space?
Of its other times? Like, is that what it's saying?
Or it's just an unlucky bowl of petunias that it almost gets to the ground and has to do it all over again.
And had a self-realization that deja vu, this has happened before. So, who knows?
Alright, well, we'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the end of the show. Well, we've got some stuff.
We're gonna go to the restaurant after this.
Yes, we've got some review. We got a review to read, and we've got some news to tell you guys. So let's do the review first, Ellie, if you would be so kind.
Oh, okay, I will. So the title is "Great Shout Outs" by Phil Rude.
That name sounds familiar. Go listen to the episode Umbrella Academy.
Please.
Yes.
Zinger and Ellie are cool folks.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Who shed light on the things they dig. And that's why the show works. They're positive and enthusiastic about what they talk about, and that keeps everything fun as...
We can say hell. It's a place. I'm not going to edit that one.
Okay. Fun as hell.
Okay, I'm going to edit that.
Oh, man. Okay. From Star Wars to video games to underappreciated comics, they think more people should read. They give a great rundown on the coolest parts of pop culture.
Well, thank you, Phil. And
That's super sweet.
It was.
I want to give him a hug now.
You know what's equally as good as a hug, Ellie?
What?
Telling people to check out his shows.
Yes, let's do it.
So you can check out Sketching Comedy or he's also on Brokebot Mountain over on Blazing Caribou.
Yes, very, very, very talented artist.
And if you would like to check him out on our podcast, go listen to the episode where we discuss the
Umbrella Academy.
Yes, he joined us for that, and that was a lot of fun to talk about with him, and I definitely know you enjoyed that comic thoroughly.
Yes, I did.
All right, so there has been a few things kind of posed to us that I need to tackle real quick.
Okay.
One of them has been, it has been made very apparent after some recent comments I have made revolving around a certain gear of metals.
I might have egged it on.
Around Metal Gear that
Yes.
it has been made apparent that we
Question mark?
would benefit from doing a Metal Gear episode.
Yes, fun.
Well, we are working on some stuff, and I'm saying soon as in next few months, but we will tackle the Metal Gear series, discussing the lore and stuff like that.
Ooh, a new segment?
Well, Ellie has been interested in possibly doing a series discussing video game lore, kind of, where we don't talk about gameplay as much as we kind of discuss
the universe,
the universe of the game.
Yes.
So that's something we're looking to try out soon. Metal Gear will not be our first adventure into that.
No, I think we're going to do something else.
But it just happened to be that you guys wanted it, so it's going to be coming very shortly, probably in September.
Oh, gosh, he's doing the high voice again.
No promises. So there's that.
Yes.
It's also been pointed out that you guys would be interested in us discussing time travel within movie universes.
Okay.
And
so Doctor Who would count because they've had movies.
Well, it's discussing... I think the way that it was put towards us was to discuss sort of what time travel we think works the best.
Okay.
So that's definitely something we are interested in doing, and thank you for the recommendation.
So Doctor Who...
You just really want to talk about Doctor Who?
Oh, I can talk about Doctor Who all day long.
Wow, we should have mentioned something in the news then, shouldn't we?
We can do it now.
Go for it.
Hello, Lady Doctor.
So what do you think of that as the Doctor? By the way, spoiler alert.
Whoops. Well, if you're a true Whovian, you probably would have already known it. So, wow. I'm excited, actually. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, what? But I think it's time. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to the fresh new take on it. So I'm excited. I don't know how everybody's going to take it, set in their ways, that sort of thing. But why can't the Doctor be a woman? I mean, honestly. And you know, it's kind of the same dynamics. I mean, there's usually a male doctor and they have a female companion. It probably will be the same thing, but switched. You'll have a female doctor now with maybe a male companion, maybe a female companion, who knows? But I'm excited for the fresh new change. Bring it on.
Awesome.
Yes. What about you? You don't care.
I just kind of go with whatever Doctor Who does.
Right, exactly.
I trust the Doctor. Yeah, like I said, I guess that should have been our new segment, but I mean, definitely mention it. We are going to, like I said, we kind of have some stuff already planned out for a little bit, so we will definitely get to, and we appreciate the recommendations.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was also floated, too.
Cool. Turtle power.
So we
Can we eat pizza while we talk about it?
That's going to sound disgusting on the mics.
Oh, man.
I mean, we could...
Can we reference smells of pizza while we're doing it?
Why don't we just do a YouTube thing of us eating pizza and discussing it, too?
Can we have a scratch and sniff episode?
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, okay.
My brain hurts now.
I'm sorry.
So, a few things to wrap up news-wise.
Yes.
Down the Hall will be joining us very soon. Very soon.
What?
Ellie, have you sharpened your battle axe?
I won't do any more because I don't want copyright.
Yeah. Have you sharpened your battle axe and prepared it for war?
Yes.
High fantasy and sci-fi war. Because we are going to be discussing with them our top 10 sci-fi and high fantasy war movies.
Do you want to talk about the rules really quick?
No, we will get into that on the episode. And
okay.
That will be out soon, people, so keep an eye out. But before that comes out, we will have our Star Wars New Hope episode, so check that out. Mm-hmm. So we'll have that. We'll probably that will be out on Thursday.
Okay.
And next Monday's episode, we will also have 2 episodes next week as well. So keep an eye out for that. Do you want to announce what Read This for August is going to be, since this was technically quote-unquote Watch This?
Spider-Man Blue.
By Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. So
Yes.
definitely check that out. Or if you want to hear us review it first, you can do that too. Mm-hmm. Then, and if anyone else has read or, done anything that we've reviewed, we greatly appreciate, if you'd let us know. We'd love to know that. And finally, a quick announcement. This is the last episode that will be put out on SoundCloud. We apologize for the inconvenience of letting you guys know this way. I might put out stuff here and there, but we have moved over to a different service. We are now on Podbean, so if you want to migrate over there and listen to us on there, we will still be available on Stitcher and iTunes. That has not been interrupted. The Harry Potter episode was actually a test to make sure that all those would work, and it still does. Mm-hmm. So we just want to say, we appreciate, all of our fans on SoundCloud, and we hope that you will join us on our other ones, but due to stuff that is out of our control, we decided to migrate to our new service over on Podbean. So definitely check us out on there.
Yes.
We greatly appreciated everyone over on SoundCloud to listen
Yes,
to us.
thank you
and all
very,
the comments
very
and
much.
stuff, and you can do all of that on Podbean as well. So definitely check us out on there.
And thank you, SoundCloud, for allowing us to
Yes,
use
for
your site,
for the time that we were on there. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so I guess with that, you can find us on Podbean now, and I already said Stitcher and iTunes.
Right.
5-star review. We'll read it on the podcast.
Yep.
Greatly appreciate it.
Under trois, quatre, cinq.
Huh?
Sorry, I was counting in French.
Ah.
Oui, oui.
Oh, okay. You were counting to okay.
Yeah, so it's 5-star review. Sorry.
You can also find us on Facebook, and you know
Yes.
what? I also, if you are a fan of our Facebook page, you got to see me open my Hour of Devastation.
Yes. The unboxing.
Yeah, I unboxed that, and we also did it on Twitter too. But I think I'm going to focus more on doing stuff on Facebook for that. It seemed to be easier to stream it on there. Mm-hmm. So if you want to check out stuff like that, I'll try to do more of that stuff, and maybe I'll have, since I'm playing Magic a little more regularly now, maybe I'll go through some of the cards, and because I'm going to work on building a few decks in the next few days, so maybe that's something I'll stream doing.
Cool.
So definitely check that out on Facebook. And you can, of course, find us on Twitter as well.
At Zing This.
You can find us on Instagram.
At Zing This Podcast.
If you want to find us playing some games, you can always go to
Twitch.tv/Zing This.
And if you want to help support the podcast.
Yes. Please go to patreon.com/Zing This. Really appreciate it. And for Patreon, one thing we've been thinking about doing is kind of giving you an early preview, kind of like our on paper scratch board, but vocalizing it and just kind of
about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like discussion of like if it's the end of July, then we'll discuss what we're planning in August, like a more solid rundown of our plans and everything.
And if you listen to it, then you can
know
kind
ahead
of
of
help
time,
us.
yeah.
Well, and you can even make suggestions. Like if you listen to it and you say, hey, you were talking about doing this. I think you should do that. And, I really would appreciate that. Kind of give us some feedback on what you think you would really be excited about as well. So
that's what you can get from supporting us on Patreon. So we will definitely have an episode out for talking about our August schedule very shortly on there. So look forward to that, as well as there's some outtakes and stuff I'm probably going to start chopping together and putting on there, because there's been recordings that, I don't know, that are about an hour long that you'll listen to on here, but are about an hour and a half possibly.
I can think of a couple, but I won't mention them.
Yes, there is extra content discussions that don't make it to the final cut. So
Yes.
I'll start chopping some of
Maybe
those
some
together.
embarrassing ones.
Yes, very. But you can also find us on
YouTube, search Zing This.
And don't forget to subscribe to us on there. If we get to 100 subscribers, we will be youtube.com/zingness. It'll help us out a lot.
Yes.
And if you want to email us directly, you can go to, or you can email us at
zingthis@gmail.com.
And as always, thanks to our sound guy,
Aaron.
and DJ Golden Boy 89.
Play us out. 42.
Well, yes, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Harry Potter.